This presentation is all about using technology for feedback, and I'm also going to discuss a few other useful things. I gave this presentation at the School of Hospitality, Recreation and Tourism plenary session in June 2012, and I'm doing it again for those of you who were not able to attend, or for those of you who wanted to get a little bit more information, more than I covered in the plenary session. So in this session, I'm going to cover a little bit of additional information. And so when Elaine asked me to do this presentation, she told me not to put too much stuff in, so I chose a few of my favorite things, and I'm really going to give you the sell for them and not the exact how-to. We are going to be offering some lunch and learns in HRT for some of these different pieces of technology, which I'm hoping to offer in the fall. So my one message to everyone in the plenary session is that you don't have to be this guy to be able to use this technology. I've managed to learn how to do this on my own with some help of YouTube and a few other people, and I'm going to tell you now, you can learn how to do this with a little bit of time and effort. And so what I'm going to cover is how to use Blackboard, some of the neat tools in Blackboard to give feedback, using Turnitin.com for more than just plagiarism detection so that we can use their rubrics, comments, peer feedback. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my experiment with screencasting, and then I'm also going to be able to cover some of the things that weren't in the plenary. A little bit about using Dropbox and deskscribble, which I'm actually going to be using today in a demonstration. And then I'm going to move on to how this technology, how you can learn how to do this either at Humber or on the web. And so just to start off quite quickly, I'm going to discuss a little bit how you can use the assessment tool in Blackboard. And as you can see here, this is what a typical question would look like if you were to create an assessment on Blackboard. When you're creating your assessment, you can put different correct answers and then put in some feedback for students. So for example, if you find there's always this common mistake that a lot of students make, you can, in the answer, if they happen to choose that, they'll be able to see feedback after they submit the quiz as to why this is incorrect, and maybe a hint if they're going to redo the quiz of how they could get the right answer. What I use this for is I allow students to attempt quizzes multiple times. So for example, this is a quiz of students I've taught in the past, and here we've got Jessica, and she attempted it 3 times until she got almost perfect. And what this allows a student to do is to try it once, go back to their reading, get some feedback as to what questions they got wrong, and go and attempt it again. And this allows for mastery of a process. And for a lot of our students, they often have troubles with taking quizzes or multiple choice tests or long answer tests. And they may know the information, but getting it out on a test format might not happen. So not only are you giving them feedback about their content knowledge, you're also giving them feedback on how to become a better test taker. I also really like to use the discussion tools on Blackboard, and what I use this for is to be able to give students feedback as they're working through practice questions, preparing for an exam, doing their assignments, etc. So a lot of us get questions electronically from students, and we reply to them one-on-one. What I've trained my students to do is that if they have a question, it goes up on a discussion board. And what this does is that the question goes up, and then either a student can answer the question, or I will come in and also answer the question. And what I do is I actually moderate this discussion board. So for example, if Dylan posted a question, Sarah responds, I would often come back and say, yes, Sarah, you're exactly right, great answer. Or, Sarah, you're exactly right, and here's another part to the answer. So that it gets buy-in from the students. The stronger students can practice their answers and get feedback from me about whether they're right or wrong. They can assist students that need a little bit of extra help. and it really creates a nice community. One of my favorite examples of how this was used is that in class we had been talking about a topic that was of interest but that was a little outside the curriculum, and we didn't get to spend a lot of time on it, maybe about 5 minutes. And what the students did is after the class they continued that discussion on Blackboard. I didn't ask them to do this, but they kept talking about it on Blackboard and I contributed. And I have to say, as an instructor, it really warmed my heart that we could go outside the classroom and use the discussion board so we can get feedback on topics from within the class about assignments. Students can help one another, I can help them out. And the nice thing is that this can be done at any time of day. This learning can be done at any time of day. And I get really good engagement from students from this, and they find it really helpful. I'm going to talk later about how I can go beyond just writing answers to questions and how I can use some screencasting. So this is often where I'll also post screencast responses to discussion questions. So we use Turnitin.com in HRT. A lot of us are using it for detecting plagiarism, but I'm not going to talk about that today. I want to talk about some of the other really neat tools that Turnitin can be used for. So not only does it check for originality, but students can get feedback if they submit a paper multiple times. You can set up that option to learn what plagiarism is. And for a lot of our students, some of them, especially our international students, this will be the very first assignment they'll ever write when they come to college. A lot of students have only done a lot of tests and so haven't really learned what plagiarism is. So we can use this in our first semester courses to give feedback to students so they can be successful in their assignments. In addition, I'm going to talk a little bit about using GradeMark, and this is going to allow us to write comments. Often we say the same thing over and over and over again to students, so this allows us to drag and drop comments that we use commonly. Verbal comments is a new feature that's been added to Turnitin.com that allows you to record your voice. So sometimes you want to be able to explain things verbally. For me as an instructor, I'm much better verbally than I am written. And then it allows you to create rubrics so you can give some more feedback. So I'm going to go through that. In addition, PeerMark is a really neat tool that if you're doing a summation assignment where students are submitting multiple drafts of a paper, what they can do is the students give each other feedback. So the paper gets submitted through PeerMark. Each student marks 3 or 4 other people's papers, they give them feedback, and then by the time the paper gets to you, it's much more polished. So let's go through some of the features of Turnitin.com. So here you can see is a typical assignment view of a Turnitin.com paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the paper I want to grade. So you'll see you get a Turnitin document viewer, and unfortunately this person had some problems with plagiarism, so let's just ignore this for a second. And let's go to GradeMark. On the right hand side you can see that I've got a set of comments that I've created. There's ones that are standard with Turnitin, and then you can create your own sets of comments. So let's just say this person needs a citation. They didn't properly cite a place, so I will just be able to drag and drop, and that when a student clicks over this, they'll get their comment. Let's say the student also included a run-on sentence, and we'll be able to put that in. If you want to give them a more personalized comment, all you have to do is click here and write your comment. Okay, if you want to then save that for future use to be able to use in your quick mark, you can just press save. Okay, so there's lots of ways we can give individual comments on the paper. In addition, we can leave general comments about the paper. So I can just leave a general comment to my students. So this was an excellent paper, except, and then you can go on, etc. Okay. The other nice thing is you can actually record your voice. So as I'm marking the paper, I can be recording the voice. So I can I have to use Adobe Flash. I'm not going to do that currently, but that's one of the things you can do. So the other nice thing about Turnitin.com is that you can create rubrics, so that as I'm marking a paper, I can be clicking on different parts, and then the scales will show up for a student. So you can see here at the very bottom, it has a little bit of a comment about what a 2 is, and what a 3 is, and what a 0 is. And it's really quite easy to create these rubrics. So for me, I found that this shortens my marking time, because I'm not writing the same comments over and over again. I can give my students a lot richer feedback, and I can use peer marking so that by the time I get their draft, that they've gotten lots of feedback from other students. So we're going to be offering some Turnitin.com trainings. We offer them at the beginning of every semester, and I would encourage you all to attend. I will be delivering the trainings. In addition, we have Turnitin.com ambassadors in HRT.